It takes a great deal of history to produce a little literature. It is a saying from Henry James. Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Today we are going to present the English literature and history. In today's video, we are going to cover 4 things, which are: first, what is literature? Second, who are the main figures in English literature? Third, different periods of English literature, and fourth, different genres. So before we begin with our presentation, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Amni Syafiqah Binti Ali. My matrix number is 056903.
Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie Ngian and my metric number is 055569.
Hi guys, my name is Batrisyia Binti Mohd Zulzalani. My metric number is 055191.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Hidayatul Najihah and my metric number is 055784.
Hello, my name is Nur Haizie Syazwani Binti Salleh, metric number 055385.
Hi there, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day. My name is Ariff Hakimi bin Ruslan. My metric number is BBAL 190569000 and I'm from Band 3A.
What is literature? According to William 1983, literature is a difficult word in part because its conventional contemporary meaning that appears at first sight. Collins English Dictionary defines literature as written material such as poetry, novels, essay, etc., especially works of imagination characterized by excellence of style and expression, and by themes of general or enduring interest. The word literature has been derived from the Latin word literatura, which means writing form with letters. Another word from Latin word is litera, which means a letter of the alphabet. Literature is first and foremost humankind's entire body of writing. After that, it is the body of writing belonging to a given language or people. Then it is an individual pieces of writing. The term literature is used to describe anything from creative writing to more technical scientific works, but the term is mostly used for creative imagination, including works of poetry, drama, fiction, and non-fiction. So what does literature do? Literature is a reflection of our life. It includes all the activities of human soul in general. Rather than talking about things, literature bring us to life by representing experience and become an experience for us. It also helps us to think deeper and more beyond and probe beneath abstractions by giving us concrete and vivid particulars. Literature is a means of communication. It communicates through characters, stories, essays, poetry, and fiction. It's an art. It teaches us the art of living and help us understand ourselves and the purpose of our life in this world. Not all people can reach out to the communication, because even if we read some poems or essays, we cannot really understand it 100%. There might be some explicit meaning to be discovered. So we have to go through the literature more. So the next question is, why should we study literature? Well, you must be asking why we need to study literature while there are lots of things that we can know and discover in this world, right? Well, literature is the reflection of social and political life of the age in which it is produced. Literature provides us not only the pleasure and enjoyment while studying, but also factual information of a particular age and its society. It introduces us to ourselves. Well, as we know that literature is a form of writing that arouses our deep and beautiful feelings by the perfection of form or excellence of ideas. Literature is one of the best ways for sharing thoughts, facts, ideas, stories on both fictional and non-fictional. Literature provides one of the most direct ways of stimulating your mind's imagination. For example, the word study, joy, money, perfection, and many more. What are you thinking about when I say those words? Literature is another form of communication such as visual imagery. To illustrate, think of the color red. Was it this color or this? Well, your mind can imagine its own unique color. The last question is, what are the genres of literature? Literature is divided into 4 major classes, which are poetry, prose, fiction, and non-fiction. It is divided according to historical periods, genres, and political influences. Literature is everything that can come into the human mind. Poetry is a form of literature that uses aesthetic and rhythmic qualities of language. For example, phonostatic. Prose defines as written or spoken language in its ordinary form without metrical structure. For example, novel, drama, and short story, etc. Literature also divided into 2 types, which are literature of power and literature of knowledge. Literature of power is literature which depicts feelings and passion. It includes novel, drama, poetry, short story, etc. Meanwhile, literature of knowledge provides information about any object, medicine, and machinery. Does history define literature? We cannot fully understand a piece of literature unless we understand its history and the history of those that write it. Thus, history can shape the way we view literature, and literature can also shape the way we view history. So that's all from me. So I will pass the presentation to my colleagues to explain more about the main figures in literatures, different periods of English literature, and different genres. Thank you.
Today I will be presenting about the main figures in English literature. Can you guess who they might be? Firstly, I will talk about one of the main figures in poems. One of the main figures in poems is Emily Dickinson. Have you heard of her? This is her. She was born in December 10, 1830 in Amherst, Massachusetts, US. And then she died at the age of 55 on May 15, 1886, also in Amherst, Massachusetts, US. Her poems, the major themes of her poems mainly religion, death, home, family, nature, and love. And one of her notable works is Hope is the Thing with Feathers, which I guess we will be learning about in the days to come. Right, Miss Zoe? So, why she is included in our reading list? How she influenced today's literature. Her poems, she expressed her thoughts and feelings through poems, and she was not always strict about the numbers of syllables per line. Her rhyme was also experimental and often not exact. She is also known for her innovative use of form and syntax. Next, I will talk about one of the main figures in prose or short story. The first one, I will talk about Catherine Mansfield. She was born on October 14, 1888 in Wellington, New Zealand. He died at the age of 34 on January 1923, and her major themes was disappointment, gender roles and expectation, and even death. Her notable works are Her First Ball, The Garden Party, and The Fly. How she influenced today's literature? She actually evolved a distinctive prose style with many overtones of poetry. And she also had an obliqueness of narration and subtlety of observation. The next category, I will talk about drama. The first main figure that I will talk about in drama category is, of course, this guy, William Shakespeare. He was born in England, Stratford upon Avon, Warwickshire, England. And he died at the age of 52 on April 23rd, 1616, in the same place that I have mentioned earlier. The major themes of his dramas were mainly, life, love, death, revenge, grief, jealousy, murder, and also magic and mystery. His notable works that we'll learn are A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet. We often hear his name, but why? He is known because he influenced today's literature. He actually transformed European theater by expanding the expectations about what could be accomplished through innovation in characterization, plot, language, and genre.
Today I will present about the different periods of English literature. The first period is the Old English period. It begins in 450 AD until 1066 AD. This period mostly consists of oral literature, and one of the important work that is created during this period is Beowulf. The second period is called as the Middle English period. It begins in 1066 AD until 1500 AD. Within this period, there is a moment that is named as the Age of Chaucer, which is known as the opening moment of English literature. Some notable events that happened during this period is Hundred Years' War and Black Death. Moving on to the third period, which is known as the Renaissance period, that begins approximately in 1500 AD until 1660 AD. This period is divided into four parts. The first one is the Elizabethan Age, which is known as the Golden Age of English drama. Popular dramatists during this moment including William Shakespeare. The next one is the Jacobean Age. It is named for the reign of James I. The third one is the Caroline Age, which covers the reign of Charles I. The last part of this period is the Commonwealth period. During this period, the theatres were banned. The next period is the Neoclassical period, which begins in 1600 AD until 1785 AD. Within this period, Charles II, which is the son of King Charles I, was restored to the throne, which benefits to the reopening of the theatre. This era is called as the Restoration Age. Besides, there is another moment that happened during this period, which is the Enlightenment Age. The scientific revolution with scientists like Newton and Galileo happened during this period. The fifth period is the Romantic period. It begins with William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge's book, which is called the Rilke Ballads. This period is perhaps the most popular of all literary ages. That's all from me. Now I'll pass the presentation to Najihah.
Okay, thank you, Batrisyia. Now I will explain about the next period, which is Victorian period, referred to work between 1832 until 1901, and it is also known as Britain's Golden Age. Okay, this is because the Industrial Revolution happened between this period, and most of the works of literature between this period features in industrialism, realism, and respectability. And it includes works from poets Robert and Elizabeth Browning, Christina Rossetti, and Alfred Lord Tennyson. Moving on to the next period, which is the Edwardian period, named after King Edward VII, and it includes the literature between 1901 until 1914. Okay, so it includes many amazing classical literature, including novels by Joseph Conrad and Henry James, who is an American who spent most of his writing in England. And it also includes poets, for example, Alfred Noyes and William Butler Yeats, and lastly, dramatists James Barney, George Bernard Shaw, and John Galsworthy. Moving on to the next period is Georgian period, referred to works from 1910 to 1936. Okay, so this period was named after the reign of George V, and it includes works of literature from poets Ralph Hodgson, John Masefield, and Rupert Brooke, and most of the works between this period themed about rural, pastoral, and traditional rather than passion. Okay, so the next period is modern period, which refers to works after the incident of First World War from 1914 until 1945. Okay, most of it talk about the experimentation, symbolism, and absurdity. Some of the writers are James Joyce and T.S. Eliot. So our last period is postmodern period. Okay, it refers to literature works after the end of the Second World War from 1945 until present day today. Okay, and most of it thematized in political issues and historical issues, and it includes works from Samuel Beckett and John Paulus.
So our last subtopic will be about the genres of literature. Now, in literature, there are four main genres, which are fiction, non-fiction, poetry, and drama. And under these four genres, we have subgenres. Now, subgenres here mean small categories under these main genres, like this. So the first genre is fiction. Fiction is a narrative writing based off the writer's imagination, which means all the characters and all the events that happen in the story are not true. Now the subgenres for fiction are novel, novella, and short story. An example would be a short story by Catherine Mansfield titled Her First Ball. Now this book is a fiction short story. Next one is drama. Drama is a literary work that is written to be performed in front of an audience. Dramas contain dialogue, actors, action scenes, and also props. So the subgenres for drama are comedy, tragedy, history, and melodrama. An example for this would be a comedy drama written by William Shakespeare titled A Midsummer Night's Dream.
For my part, I'll be explaining about the other two subgenres, which are non-fiction and poetry. Non-fiction is defined as writing that is real and factual, or in other words, something that actually happened. Now, there are several types of non-fiction, such as biography, autobiography, narrative, periodicals, and reference. Biography is a story written about a person's life, such as the book entitled Steve Jobs, written by Walter Isaacson. While on the other hand, autobiography is a story written by the author about himself or herself, such as the book entitled Long Walk to Freedom is about Nelson Mandela, and it was written by, you guess it, Nelson Mandela himself. For narrative, and in this case it's nonfiction, is a story or a narrative that occurred in real life. In particular, the book entitled Turn Right at Machu Picchu, written by Mark Adams, is about a bunch of explorers rediscovered a place called Machu Picchu, and in the book, the characters, the places, and the events are all real. Now for periodicals, it is known as regularly written reading materials, such as journals, magazines, and even newspapers. For reference, it is a book about facts that are in alphabetical orders, such as the dictionary, encyclopedia, and even the thesaurus. Poetry is defined as writing composed of language and sounds in unique ways of expressing ideas. There are several types of poetry, such as lyric, narrative, and also dramatic. Lyric is a poem based on the speaker's thoughts. There are several types of lyrics, such as elegy, haiku, ode, and sonnet. One famous Japanese haiku written by
Arakida Moritake.
And this is how it goes. A fallen blossom returned to the bough, I thought. But no, a butterfly. Narrative, which in this case is poetry, is a poem that tells a story. One example of narrative poetry is an epic, which is defined as a long poem about a hero. One famous epic entitled Beowulf is an old poem that is about 300 lines long. Dramatic is defined as words spoken by a character. There are various types of dramatic, which are dialogue, monologue, and soliloquy. One famous soliloquy written by William Shakespeare in Romeo and Juliet in Act 2, Scene 2, that reads, "This but thy name, that is my enemy. What's in a name, that which we call rose? By any other name would smell as sweet." That was Juliet talking about Romeo without her realizing that Romeo was there, and what she was trying to say was that it doesn't matter what kind of name that we call towards that person or that object. What matters is how we feel towards that person or that object. That is all from me. Thank you.